All right, what is up, everybody? I am here with the one and only Fro underscore Okomi on X, aka the VV Poet. We got the United States Marine Corps veteran here. He's a commercial retailer. He's obviously heavily involved in VV, Elman X, Cryptoys, DC Candy, pretty much Web3 in general. And he's a huge proponent of Electra and also a VV beta tester. So I was like, bro, I got to get you on. We got to chat. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Oh, Chad, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Yeah, dude, I watch all of your, um, gosh, videos on YouTube and watch the latest one with Tails. You got like just heavy hitters way, like before everyone else did. So, I mean, gosh, it's definitely an honor to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bro, thanks for coming on, dude. And I feel like I got super lucky because a lot of the people that are interested in coming on my show just have so much to offer, are such heavy collectors, and usually want to share their perspective that hasn't been shared before. So I look at this channel as just like a platform to hear your voice rather than my own. I don't have a lot to say. I harp about the same things. So I'm like, man, let's get new people on here like to share their perspective. So yeah, man. So welcome. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm gonna get straight into it because I'm like, you know what? I don't know if you saw my recent video, but I posted about like, is Vivi part of this new Disney universe? And before we dive into it, like I had some really mixed reviews. Like some people were like, of course this is happening, and other people like, dude, you're delusional. So I want to just actually walk through a few comments with you quickly because I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So let me just pull this up. Okay, and then I'm just gonna switch it here. Yeah. So basically, like I posted this video, and what I was showing was like obviously Disney comes out with this new universe and they're saying that they're going to be able to shop for digital goods. And then I was seeing, bro, with like Marvel and VV at all these Comic Cons, like this is the new frontier for people to like buy digital collectibles. So I'm like, why would a VV abandon ship and like work with another provider of digital collectibles? And then, that would get away from the first in the blockchain. And I don't know, like I just felt like it was such a stretch. And then other people were saying, well, why would Fortnite or Epic Games want to share their revenue with like other, organizations when they can have that all for themselves? So like maybe VV's on the sidelines. So I'll just read a few comments. So like Bill here, as you know, says there's so many people in this community that can't see the forest from the trees. Al Khan said he was working with Fortnite. Epic Games is within Carverness. We have the first of Disney IP. It's a perfect circle. And then other people down here, because I didn't like as many of the comments that were negative, but I think they're valid. This guy, for instance, Realverse says, after 3 years of hoping and speculation, we still have nothing. Epic Games probably doesn't even know who VV is. And what's the benefit for them to work with VV? None. Right? So this is kind of where people's heads are at. And, I know you're also a beta tester in for VV. So like maybe you have more insight than we do, but yeah, what's your thoughts on that, bro?
Good question. Good question. Maybe the question that comes to mind is, what are the strategic goals and benefits of this investment for both Disney and Epic Games? Right. I think Disney has more to gain than to lose because I've been watching, the news and seeing how Disney moves, and I want to say this might be part of just something that comes down to just pure profits, just revenue earning, because they've lost a lot of money, and it's like due to just like their collectibles aren't selling, box office failures, and losing 1.3 million in subscribers. So consumer products are losing. Merch isn't selling. Toys, comics, and this is part of, I think, Bob Iger trying to stop the bleeding. Because it's Disney investing 1.5 billion into Epic Games. I mean, that's kind of telling me that Bob Iger wants a stake in Fortnite, because he's a forward thinker, and following like demographic trends, the Gen Zs, the millennials, they spend a lot of time in media, and Fortnite alone has, I want to say, like 350 million accounts worldwide, and that includes like 1.2 billion like friend accounts.
Wow.
So I mean, and if you're selling skins on Fortnite, Disney skins, you're doing anything from Disney, you're doing Pixar, you're doing Marvel, you're doing Star Wars, you're doing Avatar. At $10 to $20 per skin with 350 million users, I mean, that's a no-brainer. They got more to gain. So right. I think this is more just of a profit standpoint for Bob Iger, because I mean, you can only raise the ticket prices to Disneyland so much. So they gotta get the money from somewhere.
Bro, that's probably the best answer I've heard yet from somebody. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like sometimes these things are more strategic than I even presume. Like sometimes I'm like, my initial understanding of it was, well, all the people that aped into like Disney NFTs through Veve are like your loyal fan base. So by like taking them on this journey into this new universe, like you're doing them a solid, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're making more profit from Disney. So I guess the hope from Bob Iger's lens, from your perspective, would be that like, you might be interested in Veve digital collectibles, but you'll also come to Fortnite and get your digital skins there too. And we've seen them like work with now like the pins, we've seen Cryptoys, now we have Veve, now they're going into the Disney universe. So like you said, this could purely be about just like making money, which again, a lot of people in the comments that I just showed said the exact same thing. And some people also said that like their kids had Disney skins already or some kind of skins on Fortnite. And so like it's a little bit interesting, because I'm like, maybe that, and then on top of that we have the Veveverse, which you're involved in, which is kind of wouldn't really make a lot of sense if we have the Disney universe, the Veveverse, and then Veve. So those are some really strong points, bro.
Thank you. Like I really, I thought about it for a long while, and because I'm in the Veveverse, I'm a beta tester there, and it hits me different because I want to see from an outsider's point of view of why, like, make this make sense to me, why Veve would not be a part of this. And from Disney's standpoint, it's, so Disney had their own game studio when they acquired Lucasfilms back in 2012. So they acquired Lucasfilms back in 2012, December. Lucasfilms already had their own game studio called LucasArts. And when Disney acquired Lucasfilms in 2012, April 2013, they disbanded the whole thing. So LucasArts, their gaming studio, was disbanded. 150 employees, boom, done, out the door. So, back then, maybe it wasn't a big, like something on their radar. It wasn't on the map for them back then. But now that, trends are changing, everyone's going digital, all the media is going digital, now it becomes relevant. So Disney's kind of, maybe we should reinvest in this, and there's a whole lot of money for Disney to be made, because I think they got skins of Elsa, Darth Vader, Captain America. I mean, it's a no-brainer for them. $10-20 average per skin. And if they drop some secret rares in there, sprinkle it in and charge a premium, Disney's going to be on, in the black again instead of in the red. Because Disney investors don't want to hear first, second, third quarter earnings of we're in the red. So this is a chance for them to climb back out and be on top again. I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, dude. No, I love I love the background here that you're sharing with me too. It makes a lot of sense what you're saying, and I think like they also got a lot of flack, because a lot of things in the States are very political, I find, and like Disney seems to be more on the progressive side, and so I think like a lot of people are saying, like, as an example, if you're portraying a character that was of a certain racial background, but is portrayed by another racial background, people have like an issue with that. And so they're making a lot of like bold calls, right, and their stuff. And so I think a lot of people are deterred by that. But I feel like what they're doing right now with the Disney universe is very progressive on the other side of things, where it's like, hey, we're going to let our IP be kind of interoperable, interactive, gamified. So this is really like a massive step, So I guess with that, like, do you think, like, what does that mean for Veve then? Like, because if you have like these skins in the Disney universe, and then you also have like Veve's digital collectibles, and let's just say they're selling digital goods over in the Disney universe, why would people, I guess, like want to be interested in Veve? Is this because this is more like a niche market for collectibles, and that might be more like gamification kind of thing? So maybe they're trying to like corner both markets, right?
Good question. Great question. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there when you said it's a niche, because in the Disney universe or metaverse, you're not going to have serialized skins. You're not going to have serialized anything. The Veveverse, that's where all of Veve's digital collectibles will be on display. So I see it two separate ways, because the Veveverse is different. Veve's a collector's app. So the Veveverse is more like a showcase for digital collectibles with special mint numbers. And you're not going to have that. Not in the Disney universe, because everything can be tracked through blockchain technology. So it's going to be totally separate. It may in the future merge somehow, but Veve is more like limited edition digital collectibles, whereas in the Disney universe, they're just trying to sell as many as they can. I think, like, let's sell all the skins, let's sell all of the Disney Pinnacle pins, and what else we could ever think of, just to start just selling. Whereas Veve's more like I said, a digital collectibles app for collectors, and it's geared towards collectors. So not too many people are going to spend $1,000 for a comic book that, or buying $10-$20 skins. It's two different platforms. So yeah, I mean, I think that's why we're different.
Yeah, I think that's a good distinction. And so just like running with that idea, like sometimes I see in Fortnite that and I don't know if this is accurate, so you can correct me, but I see these people that have like a certain gun or a certain skin that's worth like in the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. Maybe it's not Fortnite, but like I see like, it's like, for instance, it's that gun would be at the top level. It would be gold. It's like a 1 of 1. So if they all of a sudden start implementing, like, let's say a Darth Vader skin that's like a 1 of 1 or a 1 of 10, would that then be kind of infringing on Veve's digital collectible market? Because now you're also adding an element of collectability through Fortnite. Do you know what I mean? So I guess I'll start there just to see like what you think about that.
Another great question. Yeah. And you're right. There are skins that are like OG skins that they're never going to ever have again. That once you buy it, they're not bringing it back, and they're just going to keep bringing out different skins. So that's kind of like Veve Collectibles, where Series 1 is done, Series 2 is done, Series 3 is done. And, those will be there, like the 1 of 1s. But with Veve, we're more serialized. We're chasing mint numbers, and we're chasing more items that are iconic that people think of and see, and it's nostalgic to them. Where they saw Ecto One, in the movie when it first got released, and I think right now Fortnite's kind of playing off of the Gen X, the millennials, and what's good to them, and what's going to be interesting to them for them to buy. But where Veve's more like, it's more nostalgic. We got Ultraman. I mean, the millennials, who's Ultraman? So
Right.
it's kind of two different worlds. But
Man, that's a great point. Like two different demographics in a sense too, right? Yeah, like Marvel 1, for instance, like I barely knew what that was. I mean, I knew what it was, but I didn't have some kind of like sentimental value towards it because it was always $1 million comic, and it's from way back in the day in the golden age. But like you said, you try to make it appealing for a 22-year-old who just wants to play games all day and like chase meme coins, right? Like what are they? They're not going to give two shits. So yeah, you're making good sense, bro. But my hope is that there is some kind of link between these two worlds. Like even if there's like a portal, for instance, like somewhere in this Disney universe that could take you into Veve. Like, hey, if you're looking for, limited digital collectibles or whatever, we would advise you to kind of take this portal to the Veveverse, or through the Veve app. I'm just kind of like trying to see what the link is, because when I think about those 6%, or even 6 to 8% that they're making off every purchase, I mean, damn, like Disney's definitely getting a lot of cash through Veve. So it's also in their best interest to like promote, Veve as much as they can too, because that's another, avenue of source generation or revenue generation. And if you're like now bringing all these people into the Disney universe and they're, in their skins, they're doing gamification, but there's not really like a lot of money to be made. It's more of like an immersive experience. There might be some people that are like, hey, like I actually want to take this to the next level and start like collecting. Where do I go for that? So, maybe there still is some kind of like hybrid or some associative gains there. But again, like I do think you made some really good points. And I'm happy you did, because like my other video, like I said to you, man, was just like pure like this is happening, and then people were like, well, maybe it's not. So right now I'm teetering like either side.
yeah, no, it's a great question to ask, only because we don't know, and personally I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to know, but I'm making a lot of my decisions based off of information that'll give me a better answer or how to better answer questions like that. So, Epic Games developed the Unreal Engine, and the Veveverse, which is on Cavernous, they've got a collab together, and it's basically a drag and drop collab. So I can see later on in the future where Cavernous and the Unreal Engine or Epic Games will migrate possibly together, where the Veveverse can seamlessly transfer over. And I mean, if we had skins that are available only on Veve that showed up in Fortnite, you're gonna go, the Batman Who Laughs, where can I get that? Veve. Right. And that's exposure right for the Veve fam. That's just one example. I mean, it's the possibilities are endless, Chad, endless.
Man, like you're making so much sense. And because we're so early, like we're used to like an evolution of isolation where like, if you start your own thing and you outdo another company, like, then you're going to make more money. But now I think people are understanding the importance of like collaboration and like opening up all these different avenues, because, all of our user base would then be interested in kind of going in the Disney universe and vice versa. There would be like kind of some crossover there. So bro, that's a good point you make, man. And like shifting gears a little bit, right? Like I'm looking right now, at the Veveverse, and I'll be honest with you, like I still don't have a good sense of what this is going to be. Like if it's going to be more about like building and just like a really elaborate kind of showroom, so to speak, but like this now being a world, and then like your friends can come in and hang out. So like where are we with that? Like is that kind of like, again, like pretty close to what it's going to be, or is there kind of more elements there that I'm not understanding?
No, you pretty got the gist of it. The Viviverse is, pretty much a very, very um, overly glorified virtual showroom where you can have social interactions, and I think it was meant to be where all the Vivi fam can kind of show up in one space together, hang out, interact, while you're showing off your virtual showroom, where they could walk around your house. They can see all of your digital collectibles that you have on display, including comics. And, like you and I could be in my virtual Viviverse home, and I could have a storyboard up playing all of your videos, and it'll just, one ends, another one starts. And we could just be having a conversation while in the background your videos are playing, and we have a conversation about that video. So it's more like a social, I think it's more like going to be like a big old social gathering space for us. Yeah. But it's so many things that could be done in the Viviverse. It's so many talented individuals that are creating, like, anything you can probably think of or imagine, you can create in the Viviverse. And as you're creating, you can bring in collectibles. You can use like for instance, the Avengers Tower. Man, that thing in the Viviverse is like on the next level. Like, you look at the mirrors on the outside of the building, it reflects everything that's in your skybox home. So basically your skybox is your whole atmosphere of what you're in. And if you imagine yourself in like half of a hemisphere, and that whole hemisphere is, Neo Tokyo, something like out of Akira, or something like that, and you start building in there, and everywhere you walk around, the scenery changes with you. So you're inside Neo Tokyo downtown, and all the neon lights are moving with you as you look left or you look right, and you can change that at will. Not to include textures, you could just make the floors, if you wanted to do like a Wizard of Oz theme, great. I'm sure someone's already done it. The Emerald City, a yellow brick road, and drive your DeLorean through it to get to the Emerald City, and while everything around it is still like in the Wizard of Oz. And then have your like premiere of your live stream inside town square in the Emerald City. NFT Pirates will premiere of your next video on the big storyboard, and all of us are gathered around just watching as it goes live. I mean, that's the Viviverse. It's so much more. And like all of the leaks that have been, like Tails, when he did his video, he showed some of what the Viviverse could do, but not all of it. It's I don't know if he was allowed to, but it's
right.
Yeah, it's a game changer, and I just wish a lot of the guys who are flooding Vivi can just have a glimpse behind that velvet curtain and see what's beyond. They'll change their tunes really, really quickly. Like, I promise you that, because Chad, it's so much more. Like, like all of your digital collectibles are rendered into like the highest quality imaginable. Like, things reflect off of glass. Things reflect off of all the vehicles in the Viviverse. Reflect. It's so like you're looking down at. Let's say you're looking down a Knight Rider, because it's black. The sky behind you reflects on that vehicle, and it changes as you change your skybox. So
Crazy.
it's yeah, it's pretty amazing. And I hope I didn't
Wow.
say too much, but I'm just trying to draw a
No,
picture for you.
bro, like you painted a very clear picture, and I'm very interested because, like Tails, like it's really like I'm getting clearer and clearer on what this is going to be. But one of the things that you said, like, that I find so fascinating is like when you talk about like these collectibles being rendered at a much higher quality, right? Because sometimes, like, we put these things into augmented reality, they're shaky, like sometimes you
Hmm.
zoom up, it doesn't look the best. So like you're saying, like potentially, for instance, like let's just say like Darth Vader's shuttle, right? Hypothetically, you throw that into the Vve-verse, and then now that kind of maybe gives it new life, like it brings a whole other dimension to it that you might have not seen previously, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. His helmet would
Right.
reflect the sky above. If your avatar walks up to his helmet, your avatar would reflect on his helmet, and
To
you're just
Darth Vader,
kind of
right?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and you're just like, how is this even possible? But that's what the Viviverse is. It's a game changer, and it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot behind the scenes. All the beta testers, every day they're finding something new that's not working, and we're just told to go out, create, build, and break it, and
Right.
kind of report back what's broken, what's not broken, what needs fixing. So when you get in, Chad, you're gonna have the best experience ever. And you're not going to go, well, when I got in, the doors aren't working and this is not. Well, no, that's why the beta testers are doing all the behind the scenes work. Is so when you get in, your first impression is going to be, mind blowing. It's going to be an experience, an unforgettable experience that you won't forget, because you only get one chance to make that first impression. And that's why we're all working so hard. And that's why the VV team is kind of taking their time. Is you can't rush perfection, Chad.
Dude, hey, I'm all for it. As long as I know that perfection is being built, and I think that's what people need to know, is that there's a lot going on, and your testament, Tails, a testament to it. So that's really cool. And what I love about that, bro, is everybody's always looking like for some kind of outside company or organization to like, help with Vv and all this stuff, instead of looking internally and being like, well, you know what, screw everybody else. Like what Vv's building is actually going to be unbelievable. It may actually be, the superior leader in that area, digital collecting, over any other NFT company in the world. So I think that's like, just good for people to kind of grasp at what's coming here. And now I want to kind of get into specifics with you, because a few things that kind of crossed my mind is like, you talked about like premiering a video of mine, let's say in my, NFT Pirates made Vvverse. Like I could get somebody in there, like get skulls going everywhere, like make it really kind of cool. And then I've got like 10 of my friends like watching this or whatever. What would stick out the most, you think? Because, you're going to have like collectibles on your wall or within certain areas of this elaborate showroom. But at the same time, when people are looking at you, they're seeing your avatar 24/7. Your avatar is walking everywhere you go. It's not like I can carry a Javante Pride poster as an example around with me. So it's going to be on a wall, but you're going to see me 24/7. So do you think like that, like accessories for your avatar may actually prove like digital fashion, if that comes to be, may actually be that one thing that would be like, worth the most? Because like, let's say I go into your world and now we leave my showroom with all my collectibles in a different area, you're just seeing me, right? I'm not bringing things with me. You're just seeing me. I'm in your world now, and I'm wearing like Gucci sweater, digital Rolex watch. I've got like Darth Vader helmet on, Miles Morales sneakers. You know what I'm trying to say? And I'm hanging out with you, and you're like, man, Chad's a baller. Like he's dressed up in 20K of like material right now, right? Than to just see me in like plain Jane clothes and have to take you to my house for you to realize like, hey, I've got things going on. So like, what, like, do you think that's accurate, or is this just like, do you think like that's completely inaccurate? I'm just curious.
With certain collectibles on the app, I want to say they may be interoperable with your avatar. Like this is pure speculation on my part, but You know, I've
I
been
love
hanging
this
out in the
speculation,
VVverse long
bro.
enough.
I literally, my heart rate just started rising. I was like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah. So I walk around, I look, I kind of hang out, and I tinker. But what if you and I were like, hey, Fro, show up in my VVverse home at 7. We're gonna have a little hangout session. We're gonna watch one of my new premiere videos, and yeah, cool. I show up, and then you're there, but I tap you on the shoulder with my lightsaber. Then you turn around with your lightsaber, and we're like, game on. There's so many of those lightsabers. I think there's something to do with those lightsabers, and that's just one of them.
Wow.
But
Wow.
you know, all the vehicles are going to be drivable in the VVverse, so you can fly, drive, and
That's
yeah, those collectibles.
crazy.
Yeah, like what if I just showed up in your house in my DeLorean, or you show up in my house and you jump into my DeLorean, and you're like, bro, I'm gonna kind of hang out for a little bit, and I'm gonna just fly to your other city in that one space. Because when we first got into VVverse, my whole thing was, so when we got access to the VVverse, everyone was kind of focused on building that one house, going in, making these showrooms, making the next room a showroom, going up on the rooftop, building this spectacular rooftop with all these different collectibles, posters on the wall. While everyone was focused on that, I went and built city blocks of VVverse houses. So before I even dabbled in the VVverse home, I started building blocks, like city blocks. And once I got done laying out the city blocks, I put the cards in. Once I put the cards in, I started going in, and I got a house that's just all DC, a house that's all Marvel, a house that's all Ultraman, a house that's all just Marvel Mighties. So I kind of just built this city of each house. You're walking down my street, you make a left or right, you go in each house, it's a different theme. So that was my thing. I wanted to push the boundaries of how many houses can I put on before it crashes. So I found out how many houses.
And then you reported back to the beta testing program. You're like, right, we're at 17 houses and it's finicky now. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so yeah, go for it.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, I mean, this is where I'm really interested now, because like there seems to be that like everyone can do all this stuff within their own, like they can build their own world, right? And then I was talking to Tails, and he's like, you can have like a max capacity of people coming into your world, like let's just say 10, right? Do you think then there's going to be some kind of interconnectedness between all of the worlds later on, or that Veve would make, for instance, like a huge world, like way bigger than like the ones that you're dabbling into now, and everybody can go in there, like thousands of people can go in there and walk around and visit different things, and maybe they can't build anything, but they could like almost like a game, like walk around and you know, view the Veve museum as an example. Because like, I don't know, I just feel like that would be the coolest part of this all, is to be like walking and being like, hey, what's up, Fro? And then just like walk by you and then see like Johnny Dunn and just like, you know, interact with different people. Like that to me is like where, you know, it could be huge. But I think right now, like from what I'm understanding, it's like, it's just these different worlds that people can build, and that might take a few years before then it gets to the next step, right?
Yeah, you bring up a great point, man. I mean, it's like we all interact on Twitter or X, and can you imagine us in one centralized world, like a VVverse, official VVverse city, where we're all just kind of doing our own thing, walking around, and hey, Chad, it's Fro, what are you doing? Well, I'm going over here to check out this new number 41 they got on display, and I'll go with you. We both walk around and we have a conversation. But as of right now, it seems like it's kind of like the Veve vault, where I have my vault, you have yours. I got my collectibles, you got yours. Our vaults, whenever I want to say connect in a way where I could go from mine to yours. But that's not to say that Vivi is going to probably do their own Viviverse city, like an official Viviverse city. Because I thought about this, and I said, hey,
Right.
we're creating all this individually. We're inviting people over. I'm going to your Viviverse home. You're coming to mine. Where do we find common ground where we can see all the number 41s, all the mints that Vivi held back? Is there going to be a Viviverse city that has a museum with everything that we can go and look at that we've always wondered about? So I wouldn't put it past Vivi to do something like that, where they have like an official Viviverse city where we can all jump in, and if there's going to be a big, huge announcement, it shows up on the storyboard like in Times Square in New York that we're all looking at. We're all hanging out. You and I are talking. We're talking to everyone else. We're talking to Johnny Dunn. We're like, hey, what do you think is going to be displayed? We don't know. Let's find out. But that'll be something where it'll unite everyone instead of us breaking up and going into different verses, different homes. We're in one big like a center, city center, where it's everyone included that can see everything that Vivi's put out, all the mints they have, all the special announcements they're going to give. Alex G gives a live feed, do a live stream from there. Yeah, because I mean,
Bro, you're
Fortnite
smashing
does it. Fortnite does it right, because when they have concerts, like with their whoever the special artist is that's in center stage, you got everybody in Fortnite or not Fortnite, Roblox that are watching.
Right,
And there's
Roblox.
like
Yeah.
thousands of people gathered. I can see Vivi doing their one space, a Viviverse city that can house all of that and hold all of us. So,
Dude, that is so cool, so accurate. I feel like that would be the grand slam that they need, because like you
yeah,
said it best, right? You don't need to have everybody's homes, like your home, my home, within this city, because then it's not going to be expandable. Like, let's say you get 10 million users. I mean, I know that's insane, but let's just say like you can't just keep building home after home, real estate after real estate. But like you could be like, hey, I'm going to jump out of this verse and I'm going to go to my home, like my world or one of my worlds, and I'll be back later. But like what they would need to do is make this like VV verse, or like this VV world, like maybe like 100 times bigger than these showrooms, these new ones. And then like be enough to be like, okay, we could fit, let's say at max capacity, like 50,000 people in here. And then on top of that, the different parts of the world that you walk into, there'd be, like you said, different spaces going on. Like you'd see me with a speaker hosting a space, be like, oh, I want to check out Pirate Space. And then if you get bored, you just walk away, right? Like just like you would in real time. So like that would be a home run. And then like you said, display all of the craziest stuff that they have in like some kind of museum thing, like the VV Museum. And then even do similar thing that what just Disney Universe we just saw. That's why I was thinking there was going to be more of a correlation, because that's how I figured the VVverse would look. You'd have like the different worlds, like Marvel World, Disney World, whatever worlds, right? DC, and you get to walk around in that and then buy things as you walk around. So, dude, I think like that to me makes the most sense. And then even if our functionality was limited, like we couldn't drive, we would just walk around, or you can fly to like the different part you need to get to. That's all you need, because you're there for other people and talking
right.
about this stuff, like, you know.
Right. No,
Wow.
absolutely. I agree with you 100%. 100%, brother.
Bro, we're onto something here, man. Vivi, are you listening to us right now? They should be listening to this interview.
They may
so
have
man,
started on it.
yeah, exactly. Maybe they're like, damn, you guys just gave this away. Yeah. So I guess like shifting course, bro, you know, we saw that they had that drop today, right? And there was only 88, I think it was 88 editions of the secret rare. And I think for anybody that landed it, they need to wager 42,000 MCP points, from what I understood. And I'm like, that's a pretty significant chunk, even for like the whales. You know, I saw one person like waged 100,000. And I waged like 12,000, and I was like, bro, 12,000 for sure. I'm landing this. Like, who's, you know, I thought people were just going to go 5,000, 10,000. I was like, oh, I'll give it a little edge, 12,000. But my point to this is like there's a few things. First of all, I feel like that's a lot to wager and still not get a digital collectible. And the second thing to this is like for new people coming in, if you want to land a drop and you don't have any MCP points, right? Like it's not really worth your time to even try for a drop, because now they're like you're not necessarily going to get the highest rarity, so you're not going to necessarily make money, which is usually the incentive to stay around and like continue to build your collection. So, you know, even though this is appealing to the master collectors, you know, what does that say about like the growth of the company and all that stuff too, like of people coming in? So I don't know, like I think maybe it still has to be perfected. Like maybe like they're realizing like, you know, maybe there needs to be a higher allocation to people that don't have a lot of MCP or something. But I just wanted to throw that at you and see what you think.
Yeah, you know, I thought about that too, because I've got nephews that are now into looking in and getting a VView, and they're like, Uncle Fro, how'd I join? I'm like, well, it's kind of too late now, but you can still pick up comics for $1, collectibles between $2 and $3. The ultra rare stamps are between $2 and $3. I said collect as many ultra rare stamps as you possibly can, rare comics and common, uncommon comics, to get your points rolling. So whereas we had spent $6.99, maybe more, for commons and uncommons, they're coming in at the floor prices of $1.20, $1.50, and I said sweep everything, throw in a couple $100. Before you know it, you'll have, you know, 100 comics, maybe 50 collectibles, and your MCP points will start to accumulate there. And plus, there's other items on the store shelves that have not been sold out that might be appealing to buyers. That, hey, you know, I'll get the ultra rare or the secret rare. I'll pull the lever and kind of like the casino, see what happens. But yeah, we were early, and we were blessed to be that early. We're still early, to be honest, because of all the things I think Veve has planned. Yeah, the future's gonna be super bright.
Wow. So I like that idea, because like you said, you could start to gather a substantial amount of master collector points just by buying a lot of these things that, like, you know, are under the radar significantly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, this is just me, but like I don't know if I want to be holding all that, you know, quote unquote baggage of collectibles that I don't really like just in order to accumulate points. But maybe that's the price that you have to pay in order to get leverage to get some of these crazy drops. Like you almost have to have like 300-400 kind of NFTs, you know, alongside you to kind of be ahead of the market. And, you know, maybe now that's where like all these bots that just come in and come out, like because they don't have any leverage anymore, the chances of it going to them are so much slimmer, which I think is really good. Mm-hmm. And don't be wrong, like I'm not saying that this isn't a positive thing, but I'm just curious. I'm most curious about somebody coming in and being like, I want to play the lottery. I want to show up for this drop of like, you know, Wolverine 250 edition secret rare. And it's like, well, sorry, like unless you wager 250,000 MCP points, like you literally have no shot in hell. And so like, there's not even a reason to really be here unless you want to spend $2 to $3 grand accumulating crazy points and then saving it for that one drop, you know? So that's where it's like the cost of entry is now higher. But again, maybe this is then going to incentivize people to start buying more things. And we could see the opposite happen, where more and more people are like, you know, going crazy collecting things because they want to have a higher chance of getting these crazy scarce important items. So I think it's just like, and they probably did their homework. Like I'm sure they did some like user testing or like consulted and did some analytics and stuff like that to get a good sense of what that would do. But like I said, bro, like I thought today for sure at least would bag the drop at 12,000 MCP points. And like, it was like, you've been rejected. I was like, what? So yeah, that kind of threw me off, not gonna lie.
Yeah, can you imagine if something really big came along, like Wolverine or like Mando and Grogu or Yoda? I mean, ooh. Like we're 100,000 MCP points maybe the baseline for that, you know, like it's
Right.
like and this is just the Tokidoki drop. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's it's kind of crazy, but we knew this was coming, and those that prepare accordingly are in really good spots because no one plans to fail; they just fail to plan. And I've been stacking like for the last 6 months, and being a master collector myself, I'm trying to be very wise on where my points are going for certain drops. And you know, uh, big things are coming, so you got to just plan accordingly. Just can't FOMO into every new drop that's coming, just in hopes of trying to land that one secret rare.
Mm.
So it's got to be. None of this is financial advice always, right?
Yeah, no financial advice. Yeah.
It's just two dudes talking about our strategies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No,
yeah, just
it's super cool. Okay, so this is getting interesting because like, okay, so let's say like the Wolverine comes out, right? And I think we all know it's going to be 250 editions secret rare by now because everybody's been talking about that number for like so long, being like it needs to be like Miles Morales, like you need to do us a solid. So like I'm just gonna run with that. So let's say that's coming up in May, or like let's say no, that's Star Wars month. So let's just say April, right? So it's coming up, like so people now, like the top dogs, are probably going to bet like at least 250,000, maybe even like 500,000 or even 1 million MCP points because they have it, right? Because they have 6-7 million points. Might as well let go of a mil, and then you're going to get an NFT that's going to give you like $6,000 to $7,000, right? Or at least will hold that value, right? So I mean, it's a strong incentive for them. So I mean, like I guess like it's like the story of like the rich get richer in a way.
right.
And that's what I'm trying to say is like, for me, I wouldn't even stand a chance, right? Like I'd be like, oh well, let me see if I can make some moves on the secondary. Yeah, so I mean, but it does make sense. Like you said, this has been coming now. We've known about this for like 3 years. So I mean, maybe it's finally like retribution for all these guys that are holding these huge collections, and they're like, damn, now I've got the upper edge. So good for them.
Right. As it should be. Like it's people that had faith in the company that just they wholeheartedly believe that Veve's gonna be the front runner of this digital collecting world. So guys like that heavily invested, because it's an investment, and they're not flippers. They're not in trying to buy sell. Maybe some are, but majority of them aren't. Like myself, I buy and I hold, and like it's like it would take like a Wolverine drop for something like that to happen, where you kind of see where all the whales are at. Because so the Wolverine Deadpool 3 is not going to drop until about, I want to say, July 26th. Comic-Con happens July 25th through 28th. And the movie drops right in between. I think if we were to get a Wolverine animated collectible, it would be during Comic-Con, but I could be wrong. But, knowing Veve, they normally like to drop certain collectibles around the huge announcement comes out, like a movie or something like that. So, I mean, right. That might be where you start, kind of, just plan accordingly, where if Wolverine does come out in July, how many MCP points do I need to have? And should I be just burning 30, 40,000 MCP points on drops that I really don't love, other than the fact that you're trying to get that secret rare? Because how many people drop 40, 50,000 MCP points just to get the Tokidoki, but ended up with the ultra rare that went way below floor price of 20 gems. So wow. It's you got to do your own research.
Right, dude, this is some great points you're making, and it like kind of reminds me of also like, you know, Bill Gates as an example, right? He makes like, you know, $25 million a night while he sleeps. So like if he sees like a stack of $100 bills on the ground, it's not even worth his time to pick it up, right? And that's what I think is interesting here, is that some of these big whales are going to have so many damn points, and they're recurrent, so they may be making like 100,000 points a day. So any drop that comes up, you're like, well, I've got to bet 100,000 because I've got so many points that I've accumulated. So I've just got to throw it in, and you're going to land every time, because you're going to be such a higher, like, you know, so much higher ahead of the market. So I think it's smart, because like there's a lot of things that people don't want, but now that they're carrying it, they're getting a lot of value back. And it's nice, right? Like, because now the bottom floors of these things like that you just talked about are $1, 50 cents, whatever, are going to now start rising, because they're going to actually then be used now for something that's like, you know, worthwhile. So man, it just fascinates me, like this, because like you said, we've been speculating about it for so long, and now that it's here, it's like I don't want to believe it's here, because I'm like, damn, I should have like planned better. You know?
Planned better. Yeah, because I mean, I look at Twitter, X, I see people posting, I see comments, and you know, I sit back and I kind of just absorb everything. I'm like a sponge. I'll absorb everything. I take it in, and then I kind of make my assessments later, to make more of an educated guess on where the market's headed. And a lot of people are they're stepping over dollars to pick up dimes, you know, and you got to be smarter. You got to be smarter, man. It's just you know, not everybody has that forward thinking of what's down the road. They just want to live in today, now. Flippers will buy and flip and sell, and that's all they're living for, is the flippers like mentality. But guys like, you know, like a lot of the true collectors, they're looking, you know, to the future, and they're like, where's this going? So you know, I see both sides. So I'm like right in the middle, man. So flippers are trying to flip to get to where the master collectors are, but master collectors they're holding on to what they have so that they can keep what they have away from the flippers. So it's kind of like push and shove, brother.
Right. Like you said, there's no perfect recipe, but now like the tables have kind of turned, right? Like the flippers were like there and like smashing the game, botting it, getting all the crazy drops, selling it for 20x. And people like me were just like, damn, like we're getting screwed here. And then right, and then now it's like, well, sorry guys, this isn't working anymore. So now the game has shifted. But you know what I miss, bro, is like I miss transfers. I miss having, you know, remember back in the day when you could, like, anything in the market would pop up and you could see if it was a crazy deal. Like you would just be watching the market, and like something random would come up, like a secret rare Deadpool, like 1, 2, 3, 4 for like the floor price, and you're like, boom, snatched it, re-put it on the market. Like it was kind of like a casino if you knew the mint game, right? Like if you knew what you were doing, bro, it was easy. Like I can't tell you the amount of times my brother, like something would drop because he was so fast. I don't know, he's got like Cobra-like reflexes, but like something would come on and it'd be like number 46 and somebody would floor it. He was always one of the first to get it, and he'd reflip it for like an extra grand. And I remember one time, I never forget this. Yeah, it was like I forget what it was, but it was like when Coca-Cola dropped those snow globes. Some guy dropped the number 42 for like 300, and my brother snatched it. I literally see it, like the thing go, and then I see it re-released right away at like 1500. And I'm watching this, and I see it's my brother's username, and then I see it gone like instantly, and I was like, and then he texts me. And before he could even text me, I'm like, bro, you just made 1,200. And he's like, yeah, boss. And like, that was such a part of the game, right? Like, that's the cool part. And I wish there was just more market action like that. I miss that, you know, like, cause that appealed to like people like myself, where, you know, if you, like I said, you could take these risks, and I just don't find it's there. Like even recently I was on the, which one was that? Like the recent Star Wars drop with the Stormtrooper and the guard there. And like I was just seeing the mint game, but there wasn't a lot of opportunity. People were pricing them pretty well because the people in here now know the game pretty well, you know? Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. I totally agree. It's just, you know, back in those days, we had bots that were just dropping mints at like they'd do like a batch of mints, random mints, but they'd all list them like 15 for, let's say, $10, right? And you're just like, oh, you got to be fast enough to pick and choose which mints. And they're just, they're buying a comic for $6.99 and they're listing the whole batch at $10. They're making their money. So, yeah, with it's now, like you said, the holders that have certain collectibles, they're wiser to the game. They're wiser to the mint numbers. They're more aware of what mint numbers mean anything. 616, 1901, 1923, the date that the movie came out for that one collectible, or the date for when that comic first dropped. I mean, a lot more aware of what's being, listed. And there's markets drying up, and I maybe have one listing on there myself, but it's just a random. It's overly priced by like 50x, but it's a good mint number. I just wanted to see if anybody was interested in it. And but yeah, like hardly any listings are being posted. I think a lot more people are thinking, MCP right now. That's what it comes down to. Is why sell a comic for $1 when you paid $6.99 for it, and you need those points to get where you want to be in on the MCP level. So yeah,
that's a great point.
I get it,
especially for $1, right? Like, I mean, what are you going to gain? Like, you went from like a balance of whatever 10,002 to 10,003. Like, it doesn't really matter. Might matter for somebody. I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I just meant like it makes more sense, like you said, just to hold something that cheap, especially if it has some kind of value to it, like it's a decent modern age comic or something. So yeah, man, I mean, the game has shifted. It's nice to see that like people that are been here and that have been grinding are kind of getting some things back now in return, right? So I think that's positive. But yeah, man, I mean, listen, I think we should do a part 2. This has been a ton of fun. I've still got like a list of questions, but I'm like, man, I know that I've got to go. I know you've got things to do. Yeah. But dude, like, thanks for coming on, man. And I really appreciated your perspective, like very level-headed, very intelligent. You really gave a good sense of like, even like the whole Disney universe thing. You gave me some other things to think about. And you made me more bullish about what, yeah, bro. And you made me a lot more bullish about what like Veve's building like internally as well. Like, instead of it being like, okay, how are we gonna get over the rainbow here? It's like, well, listen, like, man, like, just let it slowly develop. When it comes out, like, it's gonna have a huge impact. And yeah, man, I can't thank you enough. Thank you, bro.
No, dude, pleasure is all mine. Thank you for having me. Like, great conversation. Like, I'd love to speak to you more about, what's up here, and kind of just share my thoughts of what I've noticed throughout, the community sentiment, just where I see Veve going in the future. And, me having a sneak peek behind the velvet curtain, it doesn't hurt either. So I think it's very helpful. It makes me, I'm always been bullish because I see the vision and I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I just can't convey that message enough to people that aren't willing to listen, and they just want to, they're just more kind of in their own world, and then they see what they want to see, and it's kind of like tunnel vision. So yeah, it's every day it's a challenge, but I'm very, I like to say, open-minded, and I hope and wish that others would be too.
I love that, bro. And one thing that really resonated with me there is, like you said, like, despite how good a company can be, or how much progress is being made, there's always going to be people that hate. And somebody said it best to me recently. They're like, look at Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Like, they're both good looking, they're both rich, they're both extremely talented, but there's so many people that hate them, right? Despite all the good that they've done and what, right? And so it's like kind of like, this is what it reminds me of. It's like, okay, well, despite what Veve is doing, like, there's going to be haters, and even from my channel, I mean, there's people that hate me, and I don't think I'm that bad of a guy, but there's somebody out there that's like, screw Chad, So it's like, I get what you're saying, bro. Like, this is right. And before we go to, man, I just want to comment quickly on your background there. It looks like those are 2 Veve logo cards, right? And one of them has David and Dan's signature, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I got them both. I got that one signed. I meant to take both, but for some reason I thought I took both and I had left one behind. So instead of getting them both signed, by one, I got one card from Dan and one card from David. And instead of getting their signatures on their cards, you know me, I forgot one and I had to have them sign both signatures on one card. So Comic Con 2024, I'm gonna take the other one that's not signed, this one, and I'll have them both sign it so they're equally, matching. Like,
very smart.
Yeah,
Very smart. Yeah, that's cool, bro. That's really cool. I have one of those as well. And I don't have any of the signatures, so I'm gonna have to do that,
yeah. Like I immediately had to get them framed. It's something to be very proud of for me, like personally, because I met both and it's so many negative, like from the Fudders point of view, there's just so many negative comments coming from them. It's a small group. But, when you meet David, Dan, you look them in the eye and you talk to them, you notice their heart and soul is in this. They're 1,000% in. So,
right.
There's no way that I could, talk bad about Veve, only because of, the passion that they pour into it. I see it. I appreciate it. So, yeah.
Wow, that's nice, man. You have that firsthand experience, like a lot of people just are only in the cyberspace and, throw rocks. But like you said, if you're there in person, they're signing things for you, see the passion in their eyes, you're part of the Veveverse development program. There's a lot there, like why you're obviously, really bullish on the project. So yeah, man. So listen, thanks again, boss. And like I said, man, would love to have you back on. And I appreciate you kind of like, being so open to this and coming on. It's been a really like thought-provoking discussion, and I'm glad we did it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Chad. Dude, great time. I'd love to talk to you more. Anytime. You know how to get a hold of me. So yeah, brother. Anytime we'll have.
Thanks, buddy. And for everybody that doesn't know, make sure you follow pro_Akomi. All his details and his X link are in the description below. So give him a follow and listen into all the great things he has to say. And he posts some really good pictures as well. I know that you've been like on an Electra spree for like 28 days plus or something. So make sure to check that out. But yeah, bro, thanks again, and we'll do it again soon.
Alrighty. Thank you for having me. Thank you for watching.
Thank
everyone.
you, buddy. Yeah, take care, guys.